Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you will please stand for our invocation and pledge. And just a note, as we do, we'll be led by the pledge this evening by members of both the Metro Atlanta Young Marines and the Northwest Georgia Young Marines.
All right, join me as we pray. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the beautiful weather you've given us today in this season of the fall that we enjoy. You know our faults, you know our hearts, you know that our needs, you know that we are in need of you, and we ask that you would come and give us wisdom as we do the business of the city. We thank you for the privilege to be able to be here in this country, in this state, to do this business, and we never want to take that for granted. And so we come tonight humbly and just ask that you would be with us as we do this business. And it's in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Drake, roll, please.
Carrie Todd, Ward 1, here. Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Terry Rock, Ward 3.
Here.
Calvin Cooley, Ward 4.
Here.
Gary Fox, Ward 5. Alyssa Cordell, Ward 6. Here.
Thank you, Julia. First order of business is the approval of our council meeting minutes from October the 3rd. Council, you've had an opportunity to review these minutes, and now would be the time to make any edits to those minutes if there are any needed. If there are none, then a motion is in order.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And the minutes are approved. Council, you know that I'm great at changing my mind in the midst of things, and Kathy Mendoza is getting ready to learn that as well. If you would please step forward. I know you're the Metro Atlanta Young Marines. We're going to be celebrating Red Ribbon Week here in just a minute with a proclamation, but I'd like to ask you to step forward and talk about your organization. You've got some items for people here tonight. If you would please step up. If you would please step to the microphone, make it where it's comfortable for you, and I'm going to need you to give your name and your address for our clerk so we can put it in the minutes, please.
It's Katia Thibodeau, and the address is 23 Stony Brook Court, Cartersville, Georgia, 30121. And thank you all for having us here tonight. I want to say that we enjoy being here every year. And tonight we're going to talk about the Young Marines. The Young Marines is a nonprofit organization, and we help kids learn about leadership, citizenship, and stay drug-free. I have been an adult volunteer for a year, but my kids have been in the program for the last 8 years, and I have seen the growth, the help that the program brings to them to grow as better citizens, human beings, and to be more productive to society. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And you said you have some items that you want to share with
I
everybody.
do. I have some pamphlets and a little ribbon that I would like to share if it's not an inconvenience to all.
Totally fine. Thank you for that. While we are doing that, I will ask the young Marines who are here. I'm actually kind of thrilled that we actually have two organizations of young Marines that are here to celebrate Red Ribbon Week. As again, I think we can all agree that eliminating drugs in our communities is something that we can all feel like we're on the same page for. So I got two proclamations to present. One again to the Young Marines of Metro Atlanta, and then also the Young Marines of Northwest Georgia. Both proclamations are the same, and they read as follows. Whereas communities across America have been plagued by the numerous problems associated with illicit drug use and those that traffic in them, there is hope in winning the war on drugs, and that hope lies in education and drug demand reduction, coupled with the hard work and determination of organizations such as the Young Marines of the Marine Corps League to foster a healthy, drug-free lifestyle. And whereas governments and community leaders know that citizen support is one of the most effective tools in the effort to reduce the use of illicit drugs in our communities, Red Ribbon has been chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Enrique Kiki Camarena, a Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty, and represents the belief that one person can make a difference. Red Ribbon Campaign was established by Congress in 1988 to encourage a drug-free lifestyle and involvement in drug prevention and reduction efforts. And now therefore, I, Matthew J. Santini, Mayor of Cartersville, along with the City Council, do hereby recognize October 23rd through the 31st of 2024 as Red Ribbon Week and encourage all citizens to join me in showing their support for a drug-free environment. So thank you all for being here, and we'll do the old-fashioned grip and grin, as it's called, and I'll be happy to present this. Anybody wants a picture, they're free to have it. If you're not, you won't hurt my feelings. So,
I'm doing very good, sir.
good to see you. Glad you made it.
Yes, sir.
So what we're going to do is we'll turn right here. Who am I going to hand this to? Let's look right there at Logan. Yeah, I don't know, about face, I don't know, I don't know any of that stuff. There we go, that looks perfect right there. And I'm going to hold this right here, and you, there you go. And I'll get you to move from right there. You go. Perfect. You guys got this down like pros. Thank you all very much. Thank you, and while you're welcome to stay, y'all are welcome to enjoy the rest of the evening somewhere else. Thank you all for being here. Oh, yeah, we can do so. Thank you all. Have a great night. And thank you all for the work that you do and the dedication you put into it. Thank you, sir. All right, y'all take care. Good seeing you. Y'all take tomorrow off school, okay? Got no authority there. Y'all take care. Thank you. Next item, actually, I'll call on council to add 2 items to the agenda, please. The chair will entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We got 2 items added. We've got an appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council. We just received an application from Becky Champion to serve on the Historic Preservation Commission. We have 1 vacancy remaining. She will fill the place for Greg Frisbee, whose term expires September of 2025. So staff recommends approval of Ms. Champion.
One back on the original one? One back on the original one?
I think so. I haven't dug back into the details, but I have pictures of her in some HBC events from way back.
Her mother was on the original historic preservation.
Oh, her mother, okay.
Yeah, but I think Becky was involved too at some point.
Okay, wonderful. We're happy to have her volunteerism, and I know that there's a lot of training and time that goes into those boards, like all the other boards, and we appreciate her time. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. We have a couple of first readings. And Randy, you're going to get us started with T2404, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This has been properly advertised and is actually directly related to the following special use permit request, which would go through if the proposed text amendment is approved. This is a proposed text amendment to the zoning ordinance, the outdoor storage section, and some definition sections, and the special use permit section of the ordinance. Currently, the ordinance does not allow outdoor storage shipping containers or shipping containers for outdoor storage. This request goes back several months. With that, there was a zoning case out on Henderson Drive a few months back. That zoning was to go from OC to general commercial for a particular property in which this text amendment was originally sought for. With that, this does allow for storage containers in the outdoor storage section of our ordinance with specific requirements and requiring a special use permit also. Planning Commission did hear it and did add some additional standards for storage containers to be allowed. And with that, they did recommend approval of this text amendment.
We talked in the work session about those 9 items. Council's had them. They're part of the council packet. I think what I'd like to do, similar to what we did on that previous rezoning, if we can have those printed in that way, not printed, but if we could just, for the next meeting, we don't need it right now.
Okay.
In that way, and if we can read those into the minutes, if
Yeah,
that, is that
okay.
required? Okay.
We'll do it at the
We'll do
next
that.
meeting.
We'll do that at the second reading. We don't need to do that
And
this
with
evening.
those 9 standards they would be for anybody who came and requested this request. Those standards will be part of the ordinance.
Okay. Very good. Are there any questions for Randy at this time? Seeing none, I'll open up a public hearing for T24-04 and ask anybody wishing to speak for or against to come forward and do so at this time. And seeing none, I will close the public hearing for T24-04. We will have a second reading of this ordinance at our November 7th meeting. I spoke slow enough that I could find that on my phone. And we'll take that up for further consideration and a final vote at that meeting on November 7th. Randy, I'll turn it over to you for SU 24-03.
As I had mentioned, this is directly related to the previous text amendment. If that text amendment goes through, there is an allowance now for a special use permit for these storage containers. With that, at 683 Henderson Drive, they are requesting a special use permit to allow them to continue to use the storage containers they already have on site. Like I said, this came up several months ago. I believe it dates back to January, working with code enforcement out there. And again, with that, the option they chose was to move forward to see if they can amend the ordinance to make it work. That's how we've gotten to where we are right now with that. If the text amendment is approved, Planning Commission did recommend approval of the special use permit for the container on this particular property. And again, it would include those 9 items. Those will be part of the standards for any outdoor storage container.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Randy at this time? Thank you, sir. I'll open up a public hearing for SU 24-03 and ask anybody wishing to step forward to speak for or against to do so at this time. I will close the public hearing for SU 24-03. Any other questions or discussion needed by council at this time? If not, we'll move on and we'll take this up for a second reading and final consideration at our meeting on November the 7th. We have some surplus items we need to get rid of. Chief Cloninger, why don't you tell us all about it?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. The Cartersville Police Department was contacted by the Bartow County Coroner's Office. They were requesting our assistance in possible donation of some surplus vehicles or reserve vehicles at this point. We reviewed our fleet, let them examine them. They identified 2 vehicles, a 2013 Dodge Charger and a 2015 Dodge Durango that are part of our reserve fleet. We're asking that we be able to surplus those vehicles and then donate those vehicles for the use by members of the Bartow County Coroner's Office.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or discussion on this item? If there's none, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. You've got the next item as well, Chief. Continue.
We're requesting authorization to purchase a Cellbrite Premium Core package. It's a forensic extraction device and software, freestanding computer, which allows us to extract data, evidence from cell phones, tablets, computers, things as such. Total cost of, it is a single source provider, Cellbrite is. The total cost of the package is $11,045, and that is a budgeted item.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Porter, you have the next item.
Yes, Mayor. One of our police officers had an accident back in February. We're getting closer to settle this claim. Currently, we have a deductible paying travelers of $18,183.51. Our total deductible is $25,000 per accident. I'm requesting approval to pay this invoice and allow for future deductibles not to exceed our $25,000 deductible cap.
Thank you. So a motion to not exceed the $25,000 would be in order.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Forsyth, you have the next handful.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first item is a spare lift station pump for one of our sewer lift stations. We have 4 of those lift stations, only one of which doesn't have a spare pump, so we're requesting approval to purchase a Xylem pump for that pump station at $16,659.55, and it is a budgeted maintenance item.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We've got a refurbishment project you got. Tell us about it.
Yes, sir. This is an office refurbishment for our water pollution control plant, primarily the operators and staff at the plant. The 3 photos on the left are the current office and break room areas. You can see the office on the top left there was initially built as a chemical storage room, and that's the inside on the bottom left. The next picture on the bottom with the guys in it, they're eating lunch there in the water pollution control plant lab. Right behind them are wastewater samples. They're okay with it, I'm not. And then the next 3 photos are the recently vacated distribution and collection office built originally in 1973, and you see it's still decorated that way.
I don't see it decorated as anything, but I get your point.
Yeah. My request is to refurbish the office on the right, move our staff into that office. It's on the same site, so it's accessible for the staff without building any new roads or anything there.
You could have told me that was the set of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and I might have believed you too.
We received 3 bids, or 3 quotes, to do the work on that. The low bid was from Random Contracting of Cartersville for $63,135. I recommend it for your approval.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please.
Yes, sir. This is instrumentation service for a water pollution control plant. This is both inline instrumentation as well as benchtop instrumentation. This is an annual service contract from the manufacturer Hawk Incorporated for $18,462. That's approximately $1,000 more than last year's contract. I recommend it for your approval. It's a budgeted expense.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Last item for you, got a change order.
Yes, sir. This is the Main Street booster pump station. This, you can see the photos there. That's a brand new pump station which replaced an outdated, very small pump station behind the Kohl's shopping center there for our high pressure system. It is finally complete after a little over 2 years. This change order represents a $45,942.32 increase over the original approved cost of that pump station. The increase was due to the change in depth of a lot of the piping going into and out of that pump station. Just want to let you know this increases the capacity by approximately 4 million gallons per day going into our high pressure system. I recommend this for your approval as well.
Thank you. And I know most of the times you come back with this, although this one changer goes up a little bit. I think if you look at the big projects and a lot of the other projects that we've had, not just in your department and several others, those change orders come back with a reimbursement. So no harm, no foul on that, and appreciate that. That looks sharp. And 4 million increase in capacity by that much in a system our size. That's rather significant.
It is quite significant.
It's great. Yeah. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. You stay right there. Mr. Lovell's got the next item.
Yes, Mayor. Next item is a right of entry for the JDC sewer line. This is basically, the counties will be taking that line over in the future, and this right of entry is just going to allow them to go in our easement and make some repairs to that facility. It is recommended by staff for your approval.
Thank you. Any discussion? If there's none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We've got the first reading of a couple of different ordinances, but Mr. Forsyth, you have the first one.
Yes, sir. This is an update of our sewer use ordinance regarding specifically our grease, oil, and sand interceptors, also known as grease traps. Really, the only change here is that it's codifying what we currently do as policy, essentially requiring a 1,000-gallon grease trap for food service establishment, but also allowing for constructability exceptions to that sizing requirement. It also specifies minimum cleaning and inspection frequencies, as well as enforcement actions for noncompliance. Again, this is first reading, but I do recommend it for your approval.
Councilman Hodge, you asked a very good question in the work session that Sydney gave a very good answer to. Would you mind, just because some people might be hearing that and thinking the same question that you asked, would you mind kind of going over that?
I just wanted to make sure with all the current businesses and restaurants that have had to put in a grease trap over the years, I wanted to make sure that this doesn't make them feel as if something is changing and that they're not, the new businesses aren't having to comply with the same requirements that we have them comply. I want to make sure this is apples to apples and nothing's changing.
Yes, ma'am, it absolutely does. As I mentioned, this only codifies what currently is allowed, but we've kind of adopted it as water department policy. But right now, it's kind of left up to the superintendent to make that decision. This has generally been the decision that the superintendent makes. It's just written, I would like for it to be written down now, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're not changing what we do. We're just putting it in writing.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. There is no vote on this since it is a first reading. Thank you again, Sydney.
Thank you.
Mr. Lovell, you have the next item, an amendment to part of our utilities.
Yes, Mayor, this is 3 different ordinances. They all tie into each other. They're basically authorizing the city to enter into contracts when a natural gas customer needs excess capacity over and beyond what we have currently committed from the pipeline companies. It is recommended by staff for your approval, and this will be used in regards to SK America's new project on 411.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion on this item? And again, it is a first reading. We will take that up for final consideration along with the one that Sydney just presented to us at November 7th meeting. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Porta.
Yes, Mayor, the Bartow County is trying to work with Tranquility House so they can apply for a CDBG grant, and in order to do that, they need to be listed on the service delivery strategy. So I'm recommending approval to approve amendment to the countywide service delivery strategy, which I incorporate work with all cities to add Tranquility House to that, and this is recommended for your approval.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this item? If there are none, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And motion carries unanimously. That second added item that we had at the beginning of the meeting is about making some appointments, and Mr. Lovell, I believe you're going to handle that item.
Yes, I shall. The City of Cartersville has 2 boards, the Cartersville Development Authority and the Development Authority of Cartersville. They're basically vehicles for economic development that the city uses to help existing and potential new industrial customers. Both boards currently have 2 vacancies on them. We are asking that Dan Porter be appointed to both boards to fill one of those vacancies, and would ask the council in the future to consider making another appointment for the other boards as well.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any questions or discussion on this item? Let's not make it awkward. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have the second reading of our budget ordinance amendment. Mr. Reinhardt, good evening to you, sir.
Honorable Mayor and Council, this, like you said, is the second reading of the ordinance. There have been no changes since the first reading. All this simply does is during the year-end close process, we need to adjust the budgets for the general fund, special revenue funds, and SPOS funds to bring it back into GAAP or generally accepted accounting principles standards. Again, this is second reading and no changes since the first reading.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimously. Close us out with the financial statement. Tom, please.
All right. Honorable Mayor and Council, tonight we'll be looking at the August 2024 and comparing to August 2023. And the general fund revenues increased over last year by $145,000. Expenses increased by $1.4 million. Areas of revenue I look at in the general fund on a monthly basis, local option sales tax decreased there of about $190,000. Building permits and inspection fees decreased there of about $386,000. Water and sewer fund revenues increased over last year by $339,000. Expenses increased by $603,000. This is due to increased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, decreased debt service expenses, increased capital expenses, and increased transfers to the general fund. Excuse me. And the gas fund revenues increased over last year by $747,000. Expenses increased by $1 million. This is due to increased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, increased cost of purchased gas, increased capital expenses, and increases in the transfers to the general fund. And the electric fund revenues increased over last year by $1.4 million. Expenses decreased by $741,000. This is due to decreased personnel expenses, decreased operating expenses, decreased cost of purchased electricity, and decreased capital expenses. And the stormwater fund revenues increased over last year by $16,000. Expenses decreased by $82,000, and this is due to decreased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, and decreased capital expenses. And the solid waste fund revenues decreased over last year by $210,000, and expenses increased by $26,000. This is due to increased personnel expenses and increased operations expenses. And finally, the fiber optics fund revenues increased over last year by $114,000. Expenses increased by $255,000. This is due to increased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, and increased capital expenses. In our cash position for the month of August, total unrestricted cash increased, total restricted cash also increased. SPOS fund accounts, SPOS 2014 account balance is $237,015.23. SPOS 2020 account, $949,321.46.
Thank you very much. Anything to add?
Just, Mr. Mayor, as I kind of pointed out in the prior months, but with the general fund this year, as you recall, we're using some reserves. We got 16+ million last year from the sale of land that helps paying for the fire station, which is under construction. Actually, we're looking at potential getting done in December this year for that one. So you're going to continue to see the general fund at a loss this year, but because we are planning on, we had our budgeted reserves to pay for that. We have the new recreation center and some other projects going forward, but other than that, through the first few months of the year, we're still doing very well.
Thank you. Any other questions about the financial report?
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Any other business that needs to come before council tonight? Splendid.
Jason, I'm sorry we didn't go 2.5 hours tonight.
It was awesome.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Stay gold.